Welcome to Bistro X. I'm Tom Gray, the executive chef and partner. Today we're going to show you a dish that's actually gluten-free, and it is fairly simple that you could use at home for a dinner party. It's a small appetizer. But one thing that we have learned in our 13 years here is how many different dining restrictions individuals have, from peanut allergies to celiacs to just gluten intolerance. And we're early on able to take care of these guests because of the style in which we cook, and that we don't have hidden ingredients, we don't have hidden fats, we don't use a lot of white flour to thicken. We don't really use any. We have one dish that has a roux thickener in our creamy French onion soup. But other than that, we have been able to take care of guests' dietary restrictions without issue for many, many years. We understand enough about cross-contamination. When somebody says they can't have flour or they can't have peanuts, we change utensils, we change the container, where we don't toss a salad in the same bowl that potentially had croutons, because we get it. We understand that this isn't just a preference. It could be life or death for somebody, or at least a really unpleasant trip to the emergency room. And in fact, when you come in, if you are dining gluten-free, we have a separate menu. It's printed on a different color piece of paper so that our wait staff knows if you've requested that menu. The person that comes to take your order, they've already been alerted by the fact that you're holding this menu that you are dining gluten-free, and they're putting into the kitchen, giving us those extra warning signs to ensure that. But what most people have been amazed by is the fact that they can come here and eat gluten-free, and it's not one or two items. You can choose from probably on average 15 to 20 different items that we can cook for you that are gluten-free. So today's dish will be a little Parmesan crisp with a touch of goat cheese and melted tomatoes, and it is actually fairly simple to make for your next dinner party, and it's gluten-free. So if you have guests that you're entertaining that have gluten intolerance, this is a great dish for you. For this dish, we're going to make a Parmesan crisp and melted tomatoes. We'll start with the melted tomatoes because they take the longest to cook. These are a local grape tomato. They're grown right here in Florida. We get these from Black Hog Farms. This is a little bit of fresh basil. This is in from Twin Bridges. We will top this with just a little bit of goat cheese, and this is a fresh goat cheese from France. And then the crisp is gluten-free. It's literally just grated Parmesan or Grana. Either one. The cheese is actually the same cheese. It just depends on the region in which you get it. It's either Grana Padano or Parmigiano Reggiano. First thing we'll do is make our melted tomatoes. So we have our garlic. We'll cut that little end off. Just slice it thinly. The idea is for it to be just a nice thinly sliced garlic. We'll add a little bit of crushed chili flake, a little pinch of chili flake. We don't want it to be too hot, but it adds just a little bit of spice. Put our cut tomatoes in there. And then this is roughly a quarter cup of olive oil, just to allow it to simmer lightly and become soft and tender. Then we take our sliced tomatoes, or a little bit of olive oil. Then it usually takes about 30 minutes. Once you have the heat running nice and low, you can almost forget about it and move on to your next items. So now we're going to make our crisp. We have our half sheet tray or jelly roll pan with our parchment paper. A little trick to help keep the parchment paper to stick to the pan. Lightly spray the pan. It's a little counterintuitive. Our non-stick spray will make your paper stick. Smooth that out. And then you need to spray the parchment. Even though parchment is somewhat non-stick, Parmesan is actually relatively low in fat, so you need to have a non-stick on here. We use these little 2-inch PVC rings, or you could even just do them free form. You just leave it a little space in between them, the crisp, so that they don't stick together. But what we do is line these up, leaving a gap in between each one, and then use 1 tablespoon of the grated cheese per crisp. And again, you want that center. This has been grated on a microplane, so it gives it a nice fine texture. It also allows it to melt very quickly. Then you have to just lightly even it out within the ring. Ideally, the ring just helps it, keeps it controlled, uniform shape. Once you even them out, you just remove your rings. I just do a light pat on them. And then from here, we'll go into a 350-degree oven, and they'll start to melt and get a little bit bubbly. It takes about 8 minutes. Now we'll put these in a 350-degree oven for roughly 8 minutes, but we'll stop at about that 5-minute mark and rotate the pan. You can see after these have started to cook how the tomato has started to collapse. That's really what you're looking for. That's starting to look nice and soft. The garlic is starting to get transparent. We'll give these just another few moments, but they're basically done at this point. So at this point, these are done. They did come together, but I'm just going to separate them right now, and they won't stick. But they do need to be that nice golden brown all the way across the whole cracker. The center tends to want to stay a little bit more opaque or creamy white. If you see that, stay in the oven just a little bit longer until you get that nice brown even across the whole crisp. So these are just out of the oven. They're still warm, but if you do it when they're too hot, they will actually just bend. But you can see this has been out of the oven now just about 2 minutes. And you just run a little spatula underneath it so it'll lift up. Transfer them to a paper towel. And at this point they will hold their shape and just get more crisp as they cool off. We have a little fresh basil here from Twin Bridges. It's a farm out in McClenny that we've been working with now for about 13 years. We also have approximately 120 hens out on the farm that we feed. We'll send back all these stems and vegetable trimmings, and those hens then lay eggs for us that we then make our own pasta here at Bistro X with those eggs. So we have a little sliced basil. And we'll take our goat cheese and we're going to just warm this slightly so that it becomes a little bit creamy. So this is our goat cheese. We just warmed it for about 10 seconds in the microwave. You can see with the fresh goat cheese how it will smooth out. The key is that you don't apply too much heat too fast because the texture will change. It'll get a little bit gritty. This way it stays nice and smooth. Put just a little bit on each of our little crackers. And the nice thing about this is that it's still delicious as it cools off. It's nice. You can serve it warm, but you also don't need to worry if you're having a dinner party that you try to get all these out and keep them hot. And we have our little melted tomatoes here, a little bit of garlic. So you could try to get maybe a half on each one, depending on the size of the tomato. I try not to pick up too much of the oil because you don't want it to drip through onto your guests. These are nice, simple little bites. They're very delicate. And then we'll top it with just a little bit of this freshly sliced basil. You know, if you'd like to, one thing that we do in the restaurant is we put a little drop of a balsamic glaze on it. You could do that if you'd like. Again, there's other variations. You could do sauteed mushrooms. These are wonderful with smoked salmon. A nice sweet savory combination with it. When figs are in season, have a nice little slice of fig and the prosciutto is a wonderful combination. So it's actually a quite simple dish that's fairly impressive for your guests.